Hi, you guys. As you know, Women's History Month is coming up in March, and I don't like that we have just a month of Black history and women's history. It should be celebrating these people all the time. So I'm getting a jump start. I have this wonderful book called What Would She Do? And it says, what would she do? 25 true stories of trailblazing rebel women. Basically, we're going to talk about some interesting people like Cleopatra. But I wanted to get started with it. So we're going to start the introduction and the first chapter. All right. Congratulations. You've picked up a book that's bursting with awesomeness inside. You will find the totally true stories of 25 women who changed the world in different ways. Meet Troon's Vietnamese sisters who led a rebellion against China. Emily Pankhurst, she changed the world for a lot of women. Basically, in this book is fabulous, but there's one thing that's even more fabulous, and that's all of you. Now turn the page and start reading, and then go and change the world. All right, there's our introduction. Let's read our first person. So I'm going to read the words, and then I'll show you the pictures, okay? Cleopatra Egyptian Icon. Cleopatra was one of history's biggest celebrities. Her life, a whirlwind of war, romance, and tragedy. The last pharaoh of ancient Egypt, she famously fell in love with two of the greatest Roman leaders ever. Yet she had a dark side. It wasn't a good idea to be one of Cleopatra's enemies. It's rumored that anyone who got in her way was assassinated. That means she got them killed. And that included family members. What was Cleopatra really like? What a beautiful illustration. It said at the beginning who did the illustrations. So let's look. Andrew Archer, I believe. Now let's read a little more. Name, Cleopatra VII, Thea Philoppator. Born circa 69 BCE. Died August 12th, 30th BCE at around age 39. Her nationality, Egyptian. Her profession, ruler. Cleopatra was born in ancient Egypt over 2,000 years ago, the daughter of Pharaoh Ptolemy XII. And even though they lived in Egypt, Cleopatra's family was Greek. So that's the language she grew up speaking. But she learned other languages too, including Egyptian. She was the first member of her family to do so. When Pharaoh Ptolemy VII died in 51 BCE, Cleopatra and her 10-year-old brother Ptolemy XIII became joint rulers. They also married each other, which was the sort of thing rulers did back then. Even her own parents were possibly brother and sister. But don't worry, this is completely illegal now. We know better, don't we? Cleopatra was quite a bit older than her brother, and at first she was in charge. But Ptolemy soon wanted power for himself. Eventually he took over, and Cleopatra was history. But not for long. Cleopatra found a great ally in Roman leader Julius Caesar, who fought on her behalf and destroyed her brother Ptolemy at the Battle of the Nile. The jury's out on whether Ptolemy drowned or Cleopatra had him killed. But either way, he was dead, and Cleopatra was back in control of Egypt. She was also in love with Caesar, with whom she had a son named Caesarion in 47 BCE. She went to Rome to be with Caesar, but he had many enemies, and when he was assassinated in 44 BCE, Cleopatra fled the country and returned to Egypt. It was now the last country in the Mediterranean not to be ruled by Romans. Cleopatra needed to make an ally of another Roman to make sure they didn't take over her land. That was Mark Antony. Antony and Cleopatra met in 41 BCE. It was a perfect match. Each needed the other's help to fight against Octavian, Caesar's adopted son, who wanted to rule Rome and take over Egypt. However, they fell spectacularly in love, too, and went on to have 3 children together. Cleopatra thought she was a living goddess, so she often dressed like one. She liked to wow others with her grand entrances, once appearing on a golden barge with purple sails and silver oars. And she is said to have looked fabulous. But Cleopatra's famous beauty often outshines the fact that she was a brilliant leader. She spoke Egyptian and followed the country's customs, which boosted her popularity with her people. She was highly educated and very clever. Under her rule, Egypt's economy boomed. It stayed independent of Rome. That is, until 32 BCE. Cleopatra's luck ended when Octavian's navy won the Battle of Actium. She and Antony fled to Alexandria, and 2 years later, Octavian took over the Egyptian capital. After a suicide pact with Cleopatra, Antony stabbed himself. Whether Cleopatra died because of a snake's bite or from poison, nobody knows for sure. But she remains one of the most fascinating figures in history, the subject of books like this, poems, movies, and Shakespeare's play, Antony and Cleopatra. Here's a quote from her: "I will not be triumphed over." What would Cleopatra do? Well, the question is, the girls in school say that your clothes are all wrong. They're either too long, too fancy, too blue, too baggy, too floaty, too flowery, or too plain. Is there anything you can wear without them laughing at you? What would Cleopatra do? The answer? Easy. Cleopatra would do absolutely nothing. Not a zilch. She'd know that other people's opinions don't matter when they are only designed to make someone feel bad. Cleopatra would carry on wearing what she loved, probably a glittery gold headdress, but you might not want to go quite that far. And know that as long as she felt great, she'd feel great too. So, that's what Cleopatra will do. And next time, if you go to video 2, we'll be talking about the Trung sisters. All right, I hope you're enjoying this book so far. I'm going to put each person up as their own video. All right, you guys, I hope you liked learning just a little bit about Cleopatra. And I think what we're supposed to take away from that lesson is, if someone doesn't like what you wear, it doesn't really matter as long as you are happy. All right. Have a good afternoon. Bye-bye.